Welcome, everybody, back to the Monochrome Podcast, episode 26. I am here with your co-host, JT.
What's up?
How you doing, JT? How you feeling today?
Doing good. Very excited. Excited for this episode. Love JT Burg.
JT and JT. That's who's joining us today. I just made that connection.
2 for 1 today. That's funny.
That's right. Well, if you're joining us for the first time, or maybe you just need a refresher, we are the Monochrome Podcast, and we are here for those who work in the church, those who do production and the technical things, the guys who know what all the guys and gals, who know what all those little buttons do. And we're also here for the creatives, the designers, the animators, the artists and photographers, and then also those in more of the administrative roles like leadership, communications. Those are my people right there. But welcome. We are here for you. We're not here just to answer all your questions. We definitely try to provide some answers. But more than anything, we're here to ask the right questions that maybe get your team talking a little bit and searching and striving to find the right answers for yourselves. But we're excited that you're here. JT and I have some fun things in store. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about a few segments that we do, like what's in your cart, some SALT news, and then, of course, we're going to do a great interview with JT Burg himself. I won't spoil anything. I'll save it for when we get to that part, and you'll get to, hear more about him. But JT, what is in your cart? This is like one of my favorite segments that we do. Like, what are you shopping right now? What's in your cart?
So anyone who has been a part of worship ministries or volunteers or bands or anything like that knows how difficult it can be, especially if people have full-time jobs outside of their work at church or ministry, to get everyone together to do a rehearsal. We always struggled with that. Churches, Some churches do Wednesday night, some churches do an extra Thursday night rehearsal, some churches you just get there at 6 a.m. on Sunday, and it can just be hard to make that work. Or if you're a group who just maybe you live across the country and you don't have the chance to get together very often and play.
Like our SALT band. I just want to throw out, our SALT worship team is from all over the country. So they don't get to rehearse until they come on site together. Sorry.
Exactly.
Keep going.
So this is something I found really cool. I was looking at some stuff that came out of the NAMM show. It is called Loot Fish. The link will be in the show notes as usual, but basically what this thing does is it's basically an audio processor that plugs directly into your Ethernet. And so it is a bit dependent on your internet speeds, but like most of us, we pay for the faster internet speeds because we're doing all these Zoom calls and you're downloading things from your different resources and all that. So hopefully that's something you've already got, but it basically can get you to jam with up to 5 musicians. It says up to 50, but you probably have to have some special setups for that. So 5 pretty easily, up to 500 miles away, and you can jam online. So
how does it even work?
Exactly. I have no idea. It's all the smart people can figure that out. But
I want the smart people to comment or to DM us, explain how this works to be able to, across the country, jump on using Lootfish and play music together with no lag time and I don't know, that just blows my mind. This is such a cool find.
So it's up to 30 milliseconds or less of latency, which is almost as if you were 30 feet away from someone on a stage. So it's almost like a real room jam experience. I see a lot of this can be really useful for your worship team who sometimes it's just hard to get together on a Thursday night or you're a church who just doesn't have time to or space, or maybe you're my brother-in-law worked at a set up teardown church and they didn't have any space to rehearse in. And
that is a great point right there.
So they would pack into someone's little house and try to rehearse there, and it's that's a nightmare. And so being able to have something like this in your back pocket where you can practice, it's just like you're in the same room. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to drive somewhere and all that. Anyway, lots of cool applications for this. It's $400 to buy it, and there's a subscription fee, I think, as well. But this could be a neat thing for churches to equip their volunteers with, to be able to make that a little easier for them. But so go check that out.
Yeah. I will say
show notes.
I did check this out in advance because I'm prepared that way. But they do a whole speedtest.net thing, so if your internet is reliable to use it. But let me just say, it is not crazy speeds that you have to have. In my opinion, it's very Like, it tells you what the speeds are. You do the test, and it tells you if it will work or not with your internet. But it's very reasonable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So don't discount it just because you're like, oh, I don't pay for like fiber. I don't have Google Fiber in my home. Check it out still. I think it'll be pretty awesome.
So that's a cool thing that could be useful. I think that technology will get better too over time. So
definitely.
Caitlin, you've got SALT News.
I do,
SALT
and I
info.
feel like it's almost in the same vein of like a cool thing that's out there, but it's not something you can necessarily put in your cart because it's just news that it's there. Apple came out with an update a while back before the Super Bowl, and with it they released Apple Invites. And I did not know about this. It didn't automatically download on my phone or anything. It just kind of came out. I heard no news about it or anything. And I typically am like keeping up with macrumors.com and things like that. But someone used it to invite me to their Super Bowl party. And it was such a cool experience. Basically, go to your app store. You can download Apple Invites. It does require the iCloud Plus subscription. So if you have that, you'll be able to use this. If you don't have it, you can still be invited to things using Apple Invites. You just can't create your own invites. But it is very cool. Basically, it lets you do digital invitations to events, housewarming parties. I'm thinking seniors coming up this spring, graduation open houses. Your church may be doing special events within your church. You probably have a system for that. I don't know. Maybe you don't. But this is very cool. You can invite people. I mean, it's your basics. Let me start here. It is your basics. Who, what, when, where, why, how. You know, it has all of those things that you fill out. But then it is so much more. You can create shared music albums with Apple Music through there. You can have, albums. I mean like photo albums. So everyone can be dropping photos from the event before, during, after into that event or invite. You can have custom playlists in there. It will show you the weather forecast for that event day. You can customize the look and the brand so it's like your event feel. And then even if it's like an open invitation that gets sent out to a very big group, the person who starts the invite can approve who can and can't come. So it's very cool. I encourage y'all, check it out. Very useful.
I'm going to use it. My daughter's second birthday is coming up, so we're going to use it for that.
I love
anyone
that.
who's like tried to do Evites before I was looking at it last year, and they get you all the way to the end, and they're like, okay, it's going to cost $250 for us to send these emails. And you're like,
or it limits
what?
how many people you can send them to, and then you have to pay.
Yeah. So this is great if you're already using Apple technology to be able, and I'm sure because it's Apple, it's very streamlined and very easy to use. So
yes. And what is, I think, most amazing is, again, you have to have the iCloud Plus subscription to be able to create the invites and be like the manager of the invite and send them out. But you don't have to have the subscription, I don't believe, to be invited. It even works with Android users. And that's why I feel like this is very unique, and that could work well for church stuff or for people in your personal lives, obviously. Because how many of us know people who have that dreaded Android and they can't be in the text threads? Well, here they can still be invited to the event like everyone else digitally. So
very cool.
Check it out. I think it's going to be awesome.
Speaking of which, I would like to invite you, the listener, whoever you are, wherever you are, personally, come to SALT. We're not going to send you an Apple invite. This is your invite right here. But come to SALT. It really is an incredible event. Even before I started working here, this is just my shameless plug. I worked and served in church ministries and nonprofits and things like that. And I absolutely wish that someone would have sent me to SALT or told me about it. It is every year that I've been, it's an incredible experience. I wish I got to sit in on all the workshops. I don't. I watch them later. But it just being in the room with the energy, the people, the community. There's people creating content. There's people taking pictures. There's people building things. There's people talking about, things that are going on in this church. It's just a vibrant atmosphere, and we want you to be there. So go click the link in the show notes. Check it out. We really want you to come. It really does transform how you do ministry in your church, and so we're excited to do it this year in Nashville, and we want you to be there.
Oh, well, I just want to say another great reason to come to SALT is because of the amazing people that teach there. Our workshops, our keynotes, and then just the people that you'll meet walking around. It's refreshing. It's reinvigorating. we've heard a lot of people just say it gives them new energy going back to work. And I'm sure with Easter coming, you all feel that. You wish you had some more energy. But one guy who I just felt like lit up the room, he taught a masterclass at SALT. His name was JT Burg. I met him right before his masterclass. He was awesome, so fun to talk to. And I just knew that he was going to drop some really practical advice for everybody. But really, he taught everyone how to be a designer and an animator, which was awesome. People walked out of there with Christmas graphics, or they walked in with Christmas graphics, they walked out with Christmas animations. But he, again, taught a masterclass last year, SALT 2024, but he's a motion designer at Life.Church, and he sat down to do a little interview with us to talk about what it's like working at Life.Church as a designer and animator, what the workload is like, and just kind of that life. A lot of us see some of those bigger churches are like, what is it like to work there? And we just think it's a dream. Well, here's JT giving us a little sneak peek.
All right, we are here at SALT Conference, and I am with a brand new friend to the community and a new friend to myself, JT Burg. Welcome.
Hi guys, thank you.
You are one of the video animation editing team.
Yes.
Give a little context of your role at Life.Church.
Okay, so I'm on the creative media team. It's a very large team, and it encompasses production designers, filmmakers, graphic designers, artists, filmmakers, editors, and a lot
team.
more too. It's huge, yeah. My official role is motion designer, and so that's primarily After Effects, Cinema 4D, anything motion design related.
I love it. What is your favorite motion design tool? If you had to pick it down to one tool.
It's After Effects.
After Effects.
Yeah,
Why?
It encompasses everything really, from title design to special effects to compositing. It really does everything that you need it to do to make the church succeed.
You work at a very large organization that has probably a lot of demands, right? I mean, one of the things we talk a lot about with our community is, those in creative ministry right now are getting hit with, hey, can you make this? Hey, can you craft this? Hey, can you get this? And I think ever since 2020, that sort of demand or desire for more content and more creativity has sort of gone up. Give a little bit of insight. How do you guys manage those requests at Life.Church across the variety of different ministries, the central team, or do you break it down on staff? Give maybe a little bit of purview into how you guys structure those.
Well, we have 45 campuses located across the U.S., as well as church online services every weekend and throughout the week. So the demand is huge. You're right. It doesn't ever stop week to week. But first off, part of that creative media team is our project managers, and they do an amazing job at managing each and every project so that we actually don't have to think about that. I don't know how they do it. They have Excel spreadsheets and Adobe Workfront and calendar invites that I could never, ever, ever, ever imagine.
So you're just getting a slew of project details. Hey, work on this, work on this.
Kind of, yes, but we're also having meetings and sitting down and saying, okay, this mission actually wants this. What's the best way to achieve that goal? And if it is a quick thing, I'll handle that in 20 minutes and we'll go out the door and we'll get that done. But if it's, hey, we need to stop, slow down, actually think about the next several processes here because it's going to take a week or two, then
Did you just say you have to turn a project around sometimes in 20 minutes?
Yeah, little short bits. Like, hey, can you edit out this logo? Can you track this?
And how
sign?
much of a heads up do you have on that, or is it like you show up to work and you're like, all right, what's on my docket today?
Usually, I have larger projects. So throughout the week, I'm usually working on things like series bumpers or intros or early childhood animations. Internal projects like that do take longer, weeks to 2 weeks. But occasionally, there's a filmmaker that I office kind of next to in their hallway, a bunch of filmmakers, and they'll say, man, I really don't know After Effects that well. Can you help me figure out this thing? Yeah. And so what I'll do is I'll say, let me jump in this project with you. Oh, that's going to take me 20 minutes. I'll track a thing, add it, composite it, and then I'll flip it back and send it to them. And I think that's the best thing that I can do for this.
That's incredible. I mean, so you're dealing with request after request after request. How do you not get burned out? Or maybe the better question is not burnout as much as how do you overcome those hurdles of constantly staying creative and kind of not hitting in a rut or just kind of doing the same thing over and over?
Burnout is hard to combat, and I think a lot of people in ministry do combat burnout. And it's because we love our job so much and we're committed to the role so much that we just keep constantly going. And part of that combat and that fight is having something separate outside of the church to do something just to get away from it all. For me, that's going outside and hiking, camping, working on my truck. I have 3 kids, so that takes a lot of my time. And so fortunately, there is that break from work where I can just take time spent with them and separate. Another part of the burnout equation is not having enough inspiration to keep moving forward continually. And so always having a backup of a Pinterest, Instagram, there's so many more,
Vimeo,
Dribbble, Behance, having all those extra sites as a backup to say, man, I can't figure this out right now. Let me go see if there's some inspiration out there that I can pull from to grab in a resource.
That's a great segue. In your rhythm, your work rhythm, how much do you dedicate to doing versus curating ideas so you can kind of always have that inspiration pool filled up? Do you carve that out? Make sure that there's time on your calendar?
Absolutely. In After Effects, there's a thing called rendering. And so basically what happens when you render is it's like baking a cake. You've added all the ingredients in your After Effects, but now you have to actually hit the render button, which is like baking a cake, right? And you wait. So what do you normally do while you're baking your cake? You go clean up the kitchen. Yeah. And so the same thing happens. I'm waiting 2 hours, 6 hours sometimes for a render. That's a nice downtime to go sit there and go through Behance, go through Vimeo, find stuff and add it to individualized pockets of inspiration, whether it's series art or early childhood or whatever that.
What a great way to maximize time and kind of stay on it. Because I'm sure for a lot of people, those of you who are listening or watching this probably feel that. Like, how do you make the most of your time in creative ministry like that?
Yeah, it's hard. You have to actively do it too. And you just have to keep going, and it takes time to get that rhythm built in, because you want to, after you've done the project so much and you put so much time into it, you're like, oh, I'm exhausted, and you want to just take a break, and it's like, well, no, we actually could use this time wisely right now because we're still on the clock, we're still being called to do what we need to do, and it's being a good steward of resources.
I want to go back to maybe your beginning. I was a designer or an animator in After Effects, so I know a little bit of it long ago. And I learned with these template sites. I know you mentioned you did the same thing.
Absolutely.
There's such a great resource when you get someone who's like, here's the project file, here's the template, or here's the sort of tutorial, and they like break down the whole thing. Walk through maybe the pitfall of that.
Yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of people do. Designers all the time, After Effects motion designers, when they're first starting out, they're like, oh, I'm going to learn this site, I'm going to find this thing, we're going to download this tutorial and follow this template. And it's great, but you have to actually find out what you're using and what tool or effect you're constantly using and break away from that. And the best thing to do that is just make side projects.
That's good.
Like, use that same thing and say, oh, now I'm going to do that for my own brand or my own fake company or whatever that is. And then until you get the repetition down of using that, that's how it goes.
What is a new tool that you feel like you've kind of recently implemented that you're excited about? Maybe a plugin, maybe a I don't know if you've gotten into expressions or.
I've gotten to expressions. There's an entire site on the internet that has a template of expressions. You can literally just go out there, you can learn a little bit about them, copy and paste them in, and they work. I'm not a great expression guy. I can't write code. It's just not in my brain. I'll make stuff look pretty and make it move, but after that, it kind of dives into that math area of my life where I'm not great at. So honestly, I love little toolbars or software that makes your time faster. So I have an extension in my After Effects bar called K-Bar, and it's little bitty tiny buttons that do shortcuts for me. And you can program them in, and it's like, reverse keyframes or trim comp easy ease these or whatever that is. And it's just a little button, and it saves you, 5 clicks, 3 clicks. But at that time, those add up. The 5 clicks, 3 clicks every time for days, months, years, those add up. And so I think being able to have shortcuts or ways to maximize your time is important to me.
You've made a jump, or you're working maybe in both, but you've gone from 2D animation to 3D animation. What is maybe the biggest change that you were not expecting when you kind of made that change?
3D animation is hard. It is an entirely different skill set to do. I sometimes feel like After Effects is very fun and creative and just you jump into it and just start doing. When you do 3D animation, you have to set it up right and make sure that things are engineered in a way that they work later on down the road. I think that was the biggest hurdle I had to overcome. I was originally taught Maya way back in college, and Maya was great, but the way you had to do that was
modeling.
It was hard, yeah. And I mean, we did rigging too, and so we set up walk cycles and all that stuff. The way we did it was really hard. And it wasn't until about 5 years later that I discovered Cinema 4D, and the integration from Cinema 4D into After Effects is amazing. They port over each other, they work similar, the same. And so I self-taught myself Cinema 4D and just, kept running with tutorials and things like that, trying to break away from the mold. So I think just being able to commit and to jump in there and just do little side projects all the time to kind of learn something is
That's awesome.
the hardest part.
That's a good word. JT, thanks for being here. Before you go, I want you to maybe give a word of encouragement to those who maybe are doing this every single week.
Yeah.
They're pouring into the church. They want to help their community, and they want to do it with their giftings and their creativity.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
First off, you're called to do this. God asked you to be a part of the biggest story in the world. The God that created the mountains, the universe, down to the tiniest little water droplet, asked you to be a part of his story. And every day I want you to get out of the car and I want you to run into the building because you have that story inside of you. Every day I do. I run into the building. I am leaving, I'm trying to get my kids into daycare or whatever. My wife is trying to get out of the car. I am running into the building because I'm here for it. I'm here for the whole story. I love that he's called me and asked me to be a part of this tiny little fraction of a million to billion-year-old story. So
I love that. All in, urgency,
yeah.
create.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, I love JT Burg. He is an awesome guy to have at conference. So grateful for him. We hope that you guys enjoyed hearing from him and hearing about his experience and what he's done work-wise at Life.Church. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for joining me and JT Bowling here for episode 26. We hope that this has been insightful for you, but please, it would help us if you go give us that 5-star review, if you share this with a friend, and of course, check out the show notes where we have links to everything we talked about today. The Apple invites, the Loot Fish. I mean, what a cool name for a product, Loot Fish. I love it. But check out the show notes. You can click those links, check them out directly and see what they're all about. But next week, we'll be hearing from Adam and Robbie from Worship Collective. And that's going to be a really insightful conversation, not just for our worship leaders, but production guys, you're part of the worship team too. So make sure to tune in for next week's episode. Otherwise, so grateful you guys were here. We can't wait to see you next week. Bye-bye. Have a great week.
See ya.